pre-show before the free show.
You know, Pickle, not a lot of people have the courage, the intestinal fortitude, the wherewithal, the drive, the want to, the dog in them to work on Labor Day. We do. Some people are afraid to be the best. Not us. Not Texas football today. No. We'll abandon our families. We'll leave our, hypothetically, leave our wife and 2 young sons at home to come do an internet show on a federal holiday. You know why, Pickle? Because
a federal holiday in the middle of football season is stupid.
Because we care. Also,
it makes our life hell if we don't show up.
If we don't show up, it's just like, it's so much worse. It's so much worse.
Yeah.
We're just playing catch up the rest of the week.
Don't get me wrong. I am jealous of every person out on the lake on a boat today. But it's just like, it just is smarter to go ahead and come in here and get stuff done than to push this back.
Yeah, I was like,
we do, it's just hell.
It was like last Wednesday. We came in to get, like, you and I started talking. We're like, all right, Monday. And like, this is now, because this is my 13th season with Dave Campbell's, right? And so I've done 13 Labor Days with Dave Campbell's. And what I've learned in the previous 12 is you pay for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's just no point. It's much less stress on yourself to just go ahead and do it than it is to sit there and push it off.
Is Monday your busiest day?
Yeah. You asked. It's funny. You asked me last week because I was still trying to figure. I'm still trying to figure out my schedule with like this whole Texas Football Tonight thing and how like my day-to-day operation works. You asked me like, is there a day that like things start to die down? The answer is no.
Yeah.
I will say, if there is a day that I could say, okay, I'm going to put this off until tomorrow or something, that would probably be Wednesday. Wednesday's probably the day that I can opt to make my life hell on Thursday if I want to, because I just straight up need a break. But Thursdays have turned into almost as worse as Mondays are, which has never been the case since I've been here. But my Thursdays now are even worse than, almost as worse as my Mondays are.
I think so. Like, I basically have one day off a week during. This is not, by the way, us crying about our job. This is just the reality of the situation. I basically, during football season, I work 6 days a week, and Saturday is the day I get off. Like, Saturday is the day that I don't do any work.
Yes.
Or try not to do any work. Our college football guys are grinding and out there. That's their busiest day of the week. What I figured out that if there is the slowest non-Saturday day for me is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday is like, there's a huge rush. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are slammed. Thursday, I got a lot going on. Friday, needless to say. But Wednesday, there's a little bit of like a valley on that. And so, but what I figured out through just doing this job for long enough is that if I don't work on Labor Day, if I don't work on Monday, everything just stacks up on Tuesday. And then Tuesday's the worst day of the year.
Especially because then we move our, like, company-wide, we move all of our meetings that we usually do on Monday back. So that just takes another extra whole hubbubaloo.
It's just a lot. And so that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Because we love you and we care. And also, it would just be way worse. If we did. Although, you've brought up the point, and I'm in full agreement that this should be a transferable holiday.
Yes.
This should be a coupon.
Absolutely. And that's what, like, I have a lot of hot takes on that, but considering there are so many of, like, holidays, the bulk of holidays that we get are in the fall, it's like we should be able to cash those out in the spring when there's actually not.
We don't get Columbus Day off.
No.
Like,
and it's like, why?
Day. Yeah.
Like, why can't I take? So I told you, I was like, I'm going to go to Adam, our president, and I'm going to say, hey, we work all of these holidays during the fall. With postseason stuff, we're working almost every holiday during the spring too. But Crudo Monday, I'm joining the RGV and I'm celebrating Crudo Monday the day after the Super Bowl. It's a Monday following realignment. I'm not coming in. I don't care if we have a meeting or anything. I'm not coming in.
This is among your best ideas. Yeah. This is among your best takes.
If the RGV can do it, and I consider myself an honorary member of the RGV, whether they accept me or not.
You're Miss 956.
Exactly. Like, I'm going to join them.
Yeah.
I'm putting that on blast.
I'm with you. Anyway, happy Labor Day. We should start a union. Hit the theme expo. Pickle! Hit the arrow sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas. It's Texas Football Today, a show that doesn't believe in federal holidays. No, sir. We're not into that. My name's Greg Tupper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or you'll listen to the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good, who also doesn't believe in federal holidays. She's the Duchess of the Dork. She's Miss 956. She's Ashley Pickle.
I believe on the federal holiday of Crudo Monday.
There you go.
There's my one federal holiday. Welcome. Hi, friends. Welcome in. I don't even know what part of the show we're in.
Today is Monday, September 4th, 2023. It's Labor Day. 80 days till Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to our queen, Beyonce.
Oh, nice. Queen Bee.
Beyonce turns 42 today.
Oh, wow. God, I hope I look like that when I turn 42. I don't even look like that and I'm 26, but I would love to look like that when I turn 42.
Happy birthday to our queen. Happy birthday. It's episode 1000, I don't know. You tell me.
642.
1642 if you're keeping score at home. Episode 1642. On today's show, folks, big show. We got Monday Morning Fallout. We're going to overreact to the football weekend in all aspects of the football weekend. Then we're going to be joined by the head coach of the 2-0 Klein Oak Panthers. Coach Brandon Carpenter will join us. Talk a little Panther football down there in Klein ISD. Then back half the show, we will unveil the Week 3. How to think about it. Week 3. Texas High School Football State Rankings by Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the official rankings provider of the Associated Press. That's coming up here on the back half of the show if you hang with us. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Aaron Arbuckle, Daniel Agnew, Tanner Solis, and Tony Blaylock. Welcome in, fellas. Good stuff.
The real OGs are the ones who tune in on the holidays. The real OGs. Feeling okay?
I'm ready.
Me too. Pickle?
Yeah.
Hit the air raid siren sign for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout, of course, when we overreact to the football weekend, plenty to overreact to this weekend in a jumbo-sized Monday Morning Fallout. We'll start with my opening thought. My opening thought are the 3 toughest words to say. Pickle, do you know what the 3 toughest words to say in the English language are?
I love you.
That's a great idea. I find that easy to say.
That's fair.
But, no. The 3 toughest
I'm sorry
words...
is only 2 words. That would be my actual guess.
The 3 toughest words to say are I don't know. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I say that. Well, I say that a lot.
Well, that was perfect. It takes a certain level of humility, and it takes a certain level of understanding that to be able to say, I don't know. And especially when you're talking in the early part of football season. We're 2 weeks into the Texas high school football season. We are 1 week and a UTEP game into college football season in the state of Texas. And we're anxious, we're desperate, we're pleading with ourselves to make grand declarations. We want to make a grand declaration about what Colorado's win over TCU means. We want to make a grand declaration about what Texas A&M's win over New Mexico and how the offense looked, right? We want to make grand declarations about many high school football teams, maybe with disparate results in 2 weeks, maybe with the same kind of result in 2 weeks. But what we need to embrace is the uncertainty. We need to understand that there's just a lot of stuff we don't know so far, especially in the college football ranks. One weekend, there's teams that, like, I'll take a perfect example. How much of the Texas Tech-Wyoming game did you watch?
All of it.
All of it. Okay. Texas Tech fans are down in the dumps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They go up to Laramie. They get beaten double overtime. Okay? Cough up a 17-point lead. Do we know how good Wyoming is?
Not really, no.
Do we know how good Tech is?
Their defense didn't tackle very well, I can tell you that.
But
there were things,
aspects, yeah,
that we can decide on. But how that correlates to a whole, I do not know.
Would it shock you if they went out and beat Oregon this week?
No.
It wouldn't shock me either.
No.
So why don't we just embrace the fact that we don't know a ton about Texas Tech right now? Same thing goes in the high school ranks. And what I think is interesting are the teams that we have wildly disparate results for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Here's a perfect example. Go ahead.
I was going to say Sock.
Sock's a great example. Sock goes out there and they get bodied by Duncanville in week 1.
Mm-hmm. Which we said, we didn't put too much stock in. That seems right.
We didn't think that there was too much. We didn't think that there's a team in 5A Division 2 that's going to stay within 3 touchdowns.
No.
Then they go out there and beat Lancaster. If we're being intellectually honest, we need to take both of those with the same amount of relative weight and say, all right, kind of balance each other out.
Which also then is like, okay, well, actually, how good is Duncanville? Like, Duncanville versus Lancaster would be a lot more accurate of a reading. It's wild.
It's okay to say we don't know yet. It's my opening thought. Game of the week, not up for debate.
Holy cow. We literally thought the app was wrong on Friday when we were looking at this.
I did too, and then I went and searched it on Twitter, and I was like, oh my gosh. Liberty Hill 82, Hutto 80, in a game that featured all sorts of wackiness. It featured, I believe, 734 yards rushing. 762 yards rushing from Liberty Hill. Remember, Liberty Hill runs a slot T. Liberty Hill did not complete a pass in this game and scored 82 points.
That stat line is exactly like when they played Sherilyn Pioneer in the regional finals like 3 years ago.
Hutto quarterback Will Hammond had 803 yards of total offense and 10 touchdowns. By my calculations, that's second most in total yards in Texas high school football history, behind Peyton Bevel of Stanford.
Patrick Mahomes quote tweeted it because he's a Texas Tech commit. That's cool.
It's tied for the highest scoring 11-man Texas high school football game since 2016. An absolutely crazy town banana pants game. I want to think about Hutto. Hutto hangs 80 and loses.
That's crazy.
Liberty Hill scores 82 and hangs on late. A wild affair in Central Texas. Your game of the week, Liberty Hill 82, Hutto 80. A new segment here on Monday Morning Fallout. Am I overreacting? Pickle, am I overreacting?
Well, that is the whole precipice of this segment.
Pickle, am I overreacting? Is Baylor going 4-8?
No, they look like butt. Like, all due respect to Texas State, Baylor looked bad.
Texas State looked the part. And what I am particularly interested in about this is that this was not a fluke. Texas State was very clearly, in my mind, the better team in this game. Pretty clearly. And what I think is very, very concerning if you are a Baylor fan is that the offense could not get it going. The defense was giving up big explosive plays to Texas State, a Texas State team with 55 new players in G.J. Kinney's first FBS head coaching game. They gave up 6.5 yards per play to Texas State. I thought Blake Shapen was okay until he wasn't. And then, by the way, he got hurt. And now he's out 2 to 3 weeks. And by the way, have you taken a look at Baylor's schedule? They host Utah this week, who just got done body bagging Florida. Then they play Long Island University. That's a real thing. The Sharks. They come to town.
No.
LIU.
Uh-huh.
Then Texas comes to town.
I told Mallory and I were sitting there on our couch, and I looked at her and I said, read me Baylor's schedule. And so we started talking about that, and I was like, I think they're going to get bodied by Utah. And I said, where is the mental state of that team when they're going into an FCS team that they should absolutely clobber, but where are they at that point? What happens if they futz around in that game?
I don't see a ton of wins.
I don't either.
Unless that, again, let's not overreact, but that's what we do here. Baylor might be going 4-8, guys. That was a very poor performance on Saturday. It's time for the Dudes Rock Dude of the Week.
Just Dude of the Week.
Hashtag Dudes Rock.
That is not
Get him
accurate.
in whenever you've got whenever you got a player that you think, man, that dude rocks. Your Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Your hashtag Dudes Rock Dude of the Week is Lockhart running back Nathaniel Gonzalez. He ran 37 times for 286 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Lions. Lockhart, running back Nathaniel Gonzalez, our hashtag Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Time for Tepper's Player of the Week. I put out a call every Saturday on Twitter, and I ask you to please send in your plays for what you think is the Texas High School Football Play of the Week. I sorted through a bunch of, thank you for sending them in. There can only be one. I sifted through them all. Here is Tepper's Play of the Week. Wide receiver Amarian Porter with the pinball toe tap touchdown catch for the Raiders. Impressive play there. I was the one, thanks to Wiley East Football for sending that to me. I was the one who put in the slow motion because I had to watch it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? And then finally when I slowed it down, I got to really appreciate the majesty of that play by Wiley East wide receiver Amarian Porter. That's Tepper's Play of the Week. Quick break for a hot take. UTEP can beat Northwestern.
All right.
Okay. Now, I know there's people who are down in the dumps about UTEP.
They got wrecked by Rutgers.
Week 1 didn't go great for UTEP. Or week 0, I should say. Didn't go great for UTEP. But they woke up against Incarnate Word and got an important win. And let me tell you something. Northwestern stinks on ice.
Yeah, they got wrecked by Rutgers.
They're real bad. Okay? Obviously, there's been a lot going on there at Northwestern. With the hazing scandal that's gone on. They lose 24-7. Guys, it was 24-0 with 20 seconds left in the game. Okay? This team stinks. They had 201 yards of total offense against Rutgers. By the way, go Rutgers.
Yes.
Against Rutgers. And now UTEP goes to Evanston to play Northwestern. And I got to be honest, I think they can beat Northwestern. I'd be interested in seeing, let me see if I can find an early line on this. UTEP's a 1.5-point favorite. And you know what?
That rules.
Sounds about right. Here's your quick break for a hot take. It's our Huh of the Week. A result that makes you go, huh?
Yeah.
Houston Lamar 45, the Woodlands 21. So the first week of the year, again, this goes into the just things we don't know category. First week of the year, North Shore goes out there and they beat the Woodlands soundly. And we go, okay, hey, nice win against a state-ranked Woodlands team. The next week, Houston Lamar takes their turn on the Woodlands, and they clobber them. This game was 35-7 at half. This game was a butt-kicking. Now, part of this, I think, is Houston Lamar's pretty good. I think this is a pretty darn good Houston Lamar team. They got a big game from running back Justin Howard. Their quarterback, Jordan Reeves, takes care of the football. Their defense is always very good under Tom Nolan. This team can ball. But for the Woodlands, that is now 2 games, and they've been outscored 83-38.
Yeah, that's...
For a team that started the year ranked.
Mm-hmm.
That is your of the week. Your wild stat of the week. Went into the depths for this one. You ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted this. Houston Scarborough. They, of the 3rd longest all-time Texas high school football losing streak. It was like from 2015 to 2020 or something like that. They lost 58 games in a row. They are 2-0.
How about that?
They are 2-0 for the first time since 2001. What were you doing in 2001?
Being 4 years old, 5 years old.
New coach Darius Lewis, who's the defensive coordinator at Lamarck, doing the dang thing.
That's awesome.
They've already topped their win total from last year when they went 1-9. Houston Scarborough is 2-0 for the first time since 2001. But that's not all, Pickle. The Allen Eagles. You remember them? Kyler Murray's alma mater.
Oh, yeah.
Won of 5 state
They
championships.
have that big football stadium,
Got
huh?
a big football stadium.
Okay, that's the one.
They get beat by Sheldon C.E. King.
Mm-hmm.
They're 0-2 for the first time since 1997.
Yeah, that's the GOAT year.
So for the first time in, how old are you?
26 years.
First time in 26 years, Allen is 0-2.
That's crazy.
There's your wild stat of the week. It's time for the Matt Step. He's got that dog in him, player of the week. And here
And now,
is Matt Step.
the Matt Step. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
This is Matt Stepp of Dave Campbell's Texas Football in front of Cy-Fair FCU Stadium. And the winner of the Week 2, Matt Stepp, he got that dog interim award winner, is none other than Bridgeland wide receiver Oscar Nana. Oscar had 2 touchdown receptions, including the game-winning touchdown in overtime tonight in Bridgeland's 41-35 win over Katy Tompkins. And he also returned a kickoff 89 yards for a touchdown. Congratulations, Oscar. You, sir, have got that dog in you.
This has been the Matt Stepp He Got That Dog in Him Player of the Week.
Congratulations, Oscar Nana of Bridgeland. This week's recipient of the Matt Step. He's got that dog in him, player of the week.
Nothing makes me laugh harder than congratulations. You, sir, have that dog in you.
Congratulations. Speaking of you have my attention. You have my attention, Malakoff.
This was... I'm sitting in the studio, and I read it out loud, and Ish says, what?
So, Malakoff and Grandview played for, as we've joked, the 7,000th time in the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the one common thread about this series has been in the regular season, Grandview beats Malakoff.
Mm-hmm.
They're undefeated in the regular season against the Zebras. Or, I'm sorry, against the Tigers. And I think we looked at last week, week 1 rather, and said, oh, they went to they took on West Rusk, and this is a West Rusk team that's losing a lot. They're rebuilding, they're reloading, they're kind of changing the way they do things at West Rusk. They win 56-14, Malakoff does, and you go, okay, great win, but let's see. Let's get another data point. Well, the other data point is a 51-21 drubbing on the road at Grandview of the Zebras.
Insane.
And they looked terrific. Pickle, they ran for 332 yards. They averaged 9.5 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry and Hall was the real playmaker for them, but Mike Jones, Mike Jones was excellent in this game. Bubba Hicks was a good player, was really strong as well, and their defense played fantastic. Malakoff, you have my attention. Get excited for Midland Legacy and Abilene. Matchup of unbeatens. Abilene's already got a win over Permian in week 1, and then last week in the crosstown showdown against Abilene Cooper, they took care of their business. Midland Legacy is 2-0, coming off of a really nice win over Amarillo Tascosa last week. This is going to be a real battle, and I think for Abilene, right now, we just did You Have My Attention. I'm almost there with Abilene. They beat Midland Legacy. Good 6A team, state-ranked 6A team. Let's talk. Mm-hmm. I'm very interested in seeing what happens when Midland Legacy travels to Shotwell Stadium to take on Abilene. Finally, Pickle, a final thought. Here on Monday Morning Fallout. College football's pace of play problem persists. Pace of play problem persists.
It's a lot of peace.
We've talked about this on this show. We've had multiple segments about how I think college football has a pace of play problem. Mm-hmm. Games are lasting 4 hours. Games are too long.
They're very long.
They're very long.
Especially when you go, the getting there, the
Absolutely.
parking, the if you're going to tailgate, even if you don't tailgate.
And so there's been talk, remember in the offseason they did a they had the rule changes as far as when the clock stops, things like that, to speed game things up. Right now, on average, teams are running about 2.5 fewer plays per game. Okay? About 2.5 per team. So there's 5 fewer plays per game because you can chalk that up to the clock rules. Mm-hmm. And okay, that's probably moving in the right direction. You know, that means that the pace of play should be quickening, right? Pickle, I take you to Louisiana Tech and SMU. Mm-hmm. The game was 38-14. An entirely unremarkable score.
Yeah.
38-14 is real average. Mm-hmm. SMU looked great. Thumbs up to the Ponies. Mm-hmm. Congratulations on the ACC. We'll talk about that another time. It's real weird, but congratulations. 38-14. Pickle, that game lasted 3 hours and 32 minutes.
Yeah.
3 hours and 32 minutes.
And that's just
that is above the average game length from last year.
And what's crazy is, like, you look at Texas high school football that does not last that long, and they're 30-minute halftimes.
Yes.
Like, you do not have a 30-minute halftime in college. They're in and out of the locker room really quick, so that's legitimate play.
Yes, absolutely.
That's legitimately being out
there.
And
what you're seeing, I think, it goes back to television. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening here. Is television is slowing this thing down. And look, I recognize that pays the bills, and certainly as somebody who has cashed paychecks from a television network, I understand, but we can admit that college football is a pace of play problem when a real average game is 3.5 hours long.
I would be interested to see how long. Do you know how long Liberty Hill versus Hutto was?
Oh God, I would need to see when that game ended.
It would be interesting to compare what a normal Saturday college football game was compared to a high school game that's 80-82. You know, like
anyway. That's something to keep an eye on. I will be tracking is the pace of play issue there in college football. And that is Monday Morning Fallout. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbells, and of course see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, we'll be joined by the head coach of the 2-0 Klein Oak Panthers, Brandon Carpenter. But first, a word from these goods and services.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
I feel like bustin' loose, bustin' loose, come on! I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, even at home. We provide compassionate, caring support virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here.
Back here on Texas Football Today, the Labor Day Spectacular. Pickle, let's go to the hotline. We are pleased to be joined by the head coach of the 2-0 Klein Oak Panthers, Coach Brandon Carpenter. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great, Seth. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are things in H-Town?
Man, they're great today. The weather's great. My wife and 2 younger daughters are on their way back from Lubbock. This is my oldest daughter, who's a student there at Tech. And I'm doing some real OG stuff like house cleaning, laundry, going to go pick up some groceries later. Man, it's a great day.
Man, that is, let me tell you, I hope your wife is listening to this. I really do, because you deserve the brownie points that you're going for right now. Coach, you guys are 2-0, a resounding 35-6 win last Thursday over Katy Cinco Ranch. This has been a red-hot start for your Panthers to start the season, outscoring your first 2 opponents 77-13. Did you have an inkling that you guys had an opportunity to make a statement early on this season?
Man, I thought we had a chance to be a much improved football team. But, you know, the evaluation piece for me is we still have a lot to clean up, and I think we can play a lot better. But at the same time, I'm not going to overlook, our early success and the things we've done right to be in this position. So it feels great, but we still got a lot of work to do to get to our finished product.
I think a real great embodiment and kind of encapsulation of the improvement you guys have made is on the defensive side. Just go apples to apples with last year's start. You guys started 2-0 last year, but you beat those same 2 opponents, Spring Decaney and Cinco Ranch, by – gave up 60 points in those games. These first 2 games, you guys have given up 13. What has been the difference on the defensive side for you guys so far this year?
It definitely starts with our defensive coordinator, Zach Kelly. Zach was on my defensive staff in my first head coaching stop back at Tarkington. And I knew at that point, he was an unbelievable young coach with a bright future, and always thought if I ever got a chance to be a head coach again, he would definitely be a guy that I would want on my staff. So I had that opportunity to bring him on board, and he stepped in, as our defensive coordinator last year. We kind of switched schemes in the middle of the district season to something that was really more his wheelhouse, what he was really comfortable with. We kind of retained the scheme we had been playing for a long time, just because that's what our kids were most comfortable with. But we ended up having some injury situations, and everybody does. I mean, I don't want that to sound like an excuse, but it was a reality for us that we lost some really, really good players, and we're forced to kind of play some really young guys earlier than we wanted to. So I think it was just a culmination of a lot of new faces, kind of adjusting the scheme mid-season. And, the kids played hard. I thought we coached hard, but I think you're starting to see now the real rendition of what it should look like when our kids are comfortable with the scheme and they're, have a year of experience under their belt for some of those guys, and just playing really hard. And that's the big key. Just play hard, and our guys are doing that right now.
You mentioned last year some injuries that you guys had, and with those injuries, you had a number of youngsters. You had 4 sophomores starting on either side of the ball last year. It's at one point or another. Do you feel like you've seen that growth from those players that you can tie directly to, let's call them the lumps that they took in 2022?
No question. No question. To me, our defensive line, we've got 3 guys on our defensive line, 2 that start, 1 that rotates in quite a bit, and 2 of those guys ended up playing a lot of high volume last year as sophomores. Those guys are playing great. And then our 2 corners, we've got a kid named Cortland Guillory, who is a big, long corner. Everybody that comes to practice, loves him. I think he's about to pop and be a multi-offer, big-time guy. And because he's so long and pretty, they keep picking on the other junior kid named Casey Vitito. And KC has responded with an amazing start to the season. He against Dekaney, when he was matched up against one of the top receivers in the state, he gave up no receptions, 3 PBUs, and had a pick. So I just think, having that year under their belts, kind of see what it was like, really kind of help them feed into the offseason of what they knew they needed to improve on. And you're seeing all those younger guys just play with a lot of confidence and a lot of freedom right now.
Talking with Brandon Carpenter, the head coach of the Klein Panthers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TFToday. Coach, I want to talk about a couple of players individually. Most notably, I've been very impressed by what we've seen from your quarterback, Lucas Shearhorn. This is a guy who it feels like has started to grow into that role and had a really nice game this past week against in your win over Cinco Ranch. Threw for 176 yards and a pair of scores, ran for 77 yards and a touchdown. The numbers are impressive. What is it about Lucas Shearhorn that sets him apart, that makes him special?
He's a Klein Oak man. He is a consummate leader. He's going to always get extra work. He's a great student. He's very well liked by his teammates and his coaches. I mean, he's just kind of what epitomizes what you need in that position. He's athletic enough. He can make plays with his legs. His accuracy's been really good. In fact, his numbers are probably a little misleading in the accuracy department because part of his growth as a player was learning when to throw the ball away. If there's one thing last year, being an athletic kid, he just wanting to make that play even when things were breaking down. And at times, we took some losses in some situations where he could have thrown the ball away. And he's done that a little bit this year and kind of, it hurts his completion percentage a little bit. But for me, I see a huge growth in his willingness to understand situational football. And it's okay to throw it out of bounds and live to play another day. But Lucas is just, he's in total command of our offense right now. It's like having another coach on the field. What he sees and how he's able to communicate those things on the sideline with the offensive staff and myself is just making a huge difference for us.
The other guy I want to ask you about is your running back, Jacob Everson. This is a guy who, as a sophomore, was call him a rotational back, a guy who got his touches, but certainly just a member of what was a pretty rotational backfield back there. Now, kind of seems like there's no doubt he's the bell cow guy. Have you seen him grow into that new role where he is going to be really the feature back for the Panthers?
Oh, absolutely. We really knew last year, again, it was due to injury. We kind of had to bring Jake up. We had 2 really talented senior backs, both, like you said, those guys we felt like could do anything we needed of them. So it was a great rotation. When one, the starter had a high ankle sprain, and then we lost the backup with a broken collarbone to Klein Collins in our first district game. So it kind of forced our hand to bring Jacob up probably a little sooner than we wanted to. But once he really got acclimated to what it was like to play on Friday night, he scored 6 touchdowns, and his average distance of touchdown score was 44 yards. So we knew he was an explosive player. And, he's 6'1", 218 pounds, and you're starting to see now what, feeding him the ball, he's just able to wear people down because of his size and power. And, he's averaging 5.9 yards per rush. He's got 3 touchdowns this year. He's our wildcat guy. Anybody who watches film or sees us play, there's times you're going to see us snap it right to him and let him go. But no, and again, you talk about he's an honor roll student, one of the brightest kids at Klein Oak. Just unbelievable work ethic, just another great example of kids in our program.
Coach, normally I'd ask you about, your next opponent coming this week, but your next opponent, I'm looking here in my notes, is an open date.
Yes, sir.
You got the week 3 bye, the week 3 open date. How do you approach that situation? You play 2 games, now you get the open date before you hit a real big game in 2 weeks against Dickinson before you get into district play. How do you approach this week and make sure you get done what you need to get done?
That's a great question because honestly, early in my coaching career, I was never really a big fan of an early break. Mm-hmm. I felt like, hey, you get going, you get your feet under you, get some momentum. Why take a week off? Let's have a week later on. And of course, we don't really get to determine a lot of that. Some of that depends on our district schedule and how many teams we have, et cetera. But I've really kind of flipped my mind on that. And I'm really looking at it as an opportunity for us to really focus on these last 2 games, the mistakes that we've made that have limited some of our production. and a great opportunity to clean those things up and get really sharp at those before we hit what is a really tough slate of opponents. So that's kind of, where I'm at with it mentally. I'm actually sitting here working on the practice script right now for this upcoming week. So that's a great question, and that's just kind of my approach and how I'm looking at it right now.
He's Brandon Carpenter. He's the head coach of the 2-0 Klein Oak Panthers. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the 2-0 start. And enjoy your holiday, enjoy your open date, and then go get Dickinson in a week.
Hey, I appreciate everything you guys do for high school football, man. You guys are the best, and I'm honored to be on here. Thank you so much, Deb.
Appreciate you, Coach. There he goes, Brandon Carpenter, head coach of the Klein Oak Panthers, off to a 2-0 start and a dominant 2-0 start. They have throttled their first two opponents. And I draw those straight lines. And I don't think, to be clear, I don't think Cinco Ranch is as good as they were last year. I think they're still kind of growing as they are. But to clobber them 35-6 is really impressive.
Yeah.
And
no, it really was.
I think open date and then Dickinson. And the Dickinson game is going to be a real measuring stick because that's a good Dickinson team. That's a kind of complete Dickinson team. They do that, then you start talking about what the kind of damage they can do within that district. 15-6A, I want to say. A lot to like about this Klein Oak team. They were young last year. Feels like they've grown, and I'm telling you, especially on that defensive side. Because last year, the defense kind of, I felt like at times the defense kind of, the bottom fell out of it. This year's defense looks like defense first team. And so you want to talk about a sustainable model heading forward for Brandon Carpenter's Panthers. I'm really excited to see what they do in a couple weeks against Dickinson. We appreciate his time. We're at Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football on the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up here in just a moment, the exclusive reveal of the Week 3 Texas High School Football State Rankings from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. But first, let's find out the nominees for the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week Award.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football, in conjunction with the TaxAct Texas Bowl, is proud to give the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week Award, presented by Kroger, to the most deserving high schooler in the state of Texas. Each week, TexasFootball.com announces 10 candidates for that week's award based on the previous week's on-field performance. Congratulations to this week's 10 nominees. Fans, be sure to vote for the player you believe should be the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week at TexasFootball.com. Voting closes Friday at noon, with the winner announced shortly after on TexasFootball.com. Thanks to Kroger and the TaxAct Texas Bowl for their continued support of Texas high school football and the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week Award.
Pickle, Dave Campbell's Texas Football has published the state's most respected Texas high school football rankings for decades and is the official rankings provider of the Associated Press starting in 2019. The rankings are compiled by the Dave Campbell's Texas Football staff. Weekly rankings are revealed live right here exclusively on Texas Football Today. We've been hard at work in the lab coming up with which teams should be in the rankings this week. We're ready to unveil it, the Week 3 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press statewide Texas high school football rankings. Let's go to Class 6A, where there's some major shifts in the top 10, not in the top 4. Duncanville, North Shore, DeSoto, and Westlake still your top 4. But Vandegrift, with their win over Cedar Park, into the top 5. Southlake Carroll hot behind them. Humble Atascocita makes a leap from 10 to 7 with their first ever win over Katy. That drops the Tigers down to number 10 as a result. Denton Geyer's loss to Aledo drops them a pair of spots from number 9 to number 11. North Crowley, Klein Collins, and Humble Summer Creek up a little bit into the top 15. Cibolo Steele's loss to Lake Travis tumbles them 4 spots. Lake Travis rewarded by jumping 4 spots from number 12 to number 8. Pflugerville Weiss's big win over Austin LBJ vaults them into the top 20 at number 18. Alvin Shadow Creek into the top 20 as well. They're 2-0 with a win over Clear Springs. Big game this week against Bridgeland. Their Spring Westfield loses to Fort Bend Hightower. That tumbles them from number 6 to number 23, but they do hang on into the top 25. 4 newcomers into the top 25 in 6A this week. Fort Bend Hightower, the aforementioned Hurricanes, beat Spring Westfield. That gets them the number 20 spot. Houston Lamar beats the Woodlands. They are 2-0. They are up to number 21 in this rankings. Bridgeland They get a really nice win over Katie Tompkins in overtime to grab the number 22 spot. And also in the rankings, the Highland Park Scots defend home turf, defend Highlander Stadium, beat state-ranked Louisville. That's good enough to vault them into the number 24 spot in the 6A rankings. To 5A we go. 5A, a little bit of movement here as we have a number of teams moving in, moving out. Lancaster tumbles out of the top 10 with their loss to South Oak Cliff. That moves everybody up a spot. Longview, Timberview, Port Arthur Memorial, Fulshire, Frisco, Reedy, Denton Ryan, and Smithson Valley. PSJ North stays the same. They're at number 10. But new to the 5A Division I rankings, the Abilene Eagles, who make short work of Abilene Cooper in the Crosstown Showdown. They make their debut in the top 10 at number 9. Over to 5A Division II we go, where much more chalky. Top 8 unchanged, all winners this week, including Melissa's emphatic win over China Spring. Goodness gracious. South Oak Cliff's big win over Lancaster as well. That keeps the top 8 all the same, including number 8 Texas High, who beats Colleyville Heritage 41-38. Impressive stuff. There are 2 newcomers to the rankings. Number 9, the Port Neches Groves Indians back into the top 10 with a win over Beaumont United. And number 10, the Liberty Hill Panthers back into the top 10 with their wild 82-80 win over Hutto. There's your 5A rankings. To 4A we go, where 4A Division I has a new number 1. China Spring tumbles from the number 1 spot with their 30-point loss to Melissa. That is a 5A Division II over a 4A Division I, so we don't want to go too crazy, but certainly 30 points is significant enough to drop them to number 3. Up to number 1, the Tyler Chapel Hill Bulldogs, the new number 1 team in 4A Division I. Anna, the Coyotes, big winners over Aubrey. They vault up to number 2. Kilgore gets a really important gutty win, last-second win over Gilmore to move up from number 9 to number 7. Also, Brownwood makes their debut in the rankings with a win over Marble Falls. They are number 8. Number 9, Lubbock Estacado into the rankings for the first time. Nice win for the Matadors over Dumas. And making their debut down there in South Texas, the Somerset Bulldogs get a win over San Antonio Central Catholic to move to 2-0. That vaults them into the top 10 for the first time. 4A Division II, much chalkier. Top 9, all unchanged, all winners. Most impressively was probably Waco Conley's win over Waco La Vega, as well as Cuero's win over Geronimo Navarro. Keep an eye on Wimberley as well. Nice win over San Antonio Piper. The only newcomer is at number 10, the Graham Steers make their debut at the top 10 in 4A Division II to move to 2-0 with a 36-15 win over Springtown. To 3A we go. 3A Division I, top 6, all unchanged, but there is some churn at the bottom. Winsboro up a couple spots with their win over Canton. Paradise up to number 8 with their win over Munster. And 2 newcomers to the state rankings. Number 9, Jim Ned takes down Holiday 40-32. That vaults him up to number 9. And how about the Yoakum Bulldogs? Now state ranked with a 41-20 win over Cameron Yo. The Bulldogs are now 2-0 and the number 10 team in 3A Division I. To 3A Division II we go. The top 7 remain unchanged, but a little bit of movement at the bottom. Dangerfield up 2 spots with their win over up a spot with their win over Tatum. They're up to number 8. Comanche up a spot with their win over Bangs. And new to the rankings for the first time, how about the Tigers of Troop? Big winners over Price Carlisle, 52-15. That's good enough to earn them the number 10 spot in 3A Division II. To 2A we go. We got a couple messes to talk about here.
Yeah.
2A Division I. Okay, so it's the same 10 teams, but we had to do some shuffling here. Centerville's win over Crawford vaults them up 2 spots to number 4. Crawford's loss to Centerville drops them 2 spots from number 7 to number 9. As a result, Stratford, with their nice win over Sunray, moves up a spot. Beckville's win over Joaquin moves them up a spot. Cooper, they lose to Hooks 26-19. That drops them a pair of spots from number 4 to number 6. Everything else is the same. Hawley beats Lubbock Roosevelt 14-6. That's good enough to stay at number 5 for now. Top 3 unchanged, though. Timpson, Refugio, and Toller, your top 3 in 2A Division I. We've reached a weird point in the 2A Division II rankings. This is the one that we debated the most because they are the smallest 11-man classification, and as a result, they punch up a lot. So it's hard to know what to do with these things. We did have 2 teams fall out of the rankings. Number 5, Bremont falls out of the rankings with their loss, and the number 8 team in the rankings also drops out. But there's some movement elsewhere. Collinsville moves up a pair of spots. Wellington loses to Lubbock Christian. As you'll see in a moment, that's a state-ranked private school. We drop them one spot from number 4 to number 5. Chilton up a spot with their win over Italy. Falls City and Poth at the bottom of the rankings both lose, but we decided to keep them ranked. Falls City lost to Poth. That is a state finalist in 3A from a year ago. As a result, we want to give them a little bit of forgiveness in that one. We keep them the same at number 9. Furthermore, there just weren't any teams not enough teams, in my opinion, that did enough to vault them. Same goes with Sunray. Sunray goes on the road to Stratford and loses in the last couple of minutes to the Elks, a 2A Division I state-ranked team, as you see the number 17 in 2A Division I. We decided to hang them on there at number 10. That feels about right for us. There are 2 new entries to the rankings. At number 7, the Wink Wildcats are 2-0 with their win over Ozona. And at number 8, the Granger is into the rankings. The Lions get a win over Thorndale, 38-7 to move to 2-0. They are now state ranked. To the 6-man ranks we go. 1A Division I, Gordon and Abbott hold on to their spots there at the top. Jonesboro loses to Westbrook. That drops them down from number 3 to number 7. Knox City moves up a spot. Westbrook, with their win over Jonesboro, has to stay behind Knox City because they lost to Knox City, but they move up to number 4. Rankin up to number 5. I believe we get Rankin and Westbrook this week, which is tasty stuff. May is 2-0. They move up a spot as well. New to the rankings, Buena Vista drops out at number 9, but new to the rankings, the Wolverines of Spring Lake Earth into the rankings there with their win over Valley. They are now 2-0. In 1A Division 2, a little bit of churn as well. Klondike loses to Jayton. That keeps Jayton at number 3 because there's really nowhere to go because both Benjamin and Oglesby were very impressive in their wins. But Klondike does tumble 2 spots to number 6. Cherokee and Newcastle each move up a spot to number 4 and number 5 respectively. Whit Harrell up a spot with their win over Cress. Richland Springs up 2 spots with their win over Olphin. Balmoral loses a real kind of head-scratcher to Van Horn. They tumble from number 5 out of the rankings. Same with number 9, Oakwood. And new to the rankings, Rochelle in at number 9 and Amherst in at number 10. The Bulldogs ranked in 1A Division 2. To the private school ranks we go. Once again, total chaos in the private school 11-man ranks. A new number 1 for the second straight week. St. Thomas out of Houston gets a win over Lumberton to move to 2-0. That moves them up to number 1. Austin Regents moves up 2 spots to number 2. Dallas Christian loses to Ouachita Christian out of Louisiana. They lose 17-14. I'm just going to be honest with you. We don't know what to do with that. It's a really interesting, kind of weird result.
It's a measuring stick that we don't think exists.
We don't know what to do with it. As a result, we drop them from number 1 to number 3 because there are 2 teams that are undefeated that look like they deserve to be ranked ahead of them for now. But we are watching this space with Dallas Christian because we don't know what to make of it. Lubbock Christian up a spot with their win over Wellington to number 4, and new to the rankings, replacing number 2 Dallas Parish Episcopal because they beat them. Bel Air Episcopal rather. They are now 2-0 and state ranked at number 5. In the private school 6-man ranks, we have a new number 1. Fort Worth Covenant Classical loses to Abbott. That drops them to number 2. And in their place, the Patriots of Pasadena First Baptist. They get a big win over Houston Emery Weiner to vault them up to the number 1 spot. Abilene Christian up 2 spots to number 3 with their win over Hermley. Baytown Christian and Prestonwood North crash out of the rankings with their losses, but new to the rankings, number 4 Austin Hill Country. They are 2-0. Got a big win over San Marcos Baptist. And new to the rankings, number 5 Conroe Covenant. They get a win over Houston Cristo Rey to move to 2-0. So there they are, the Week 3 Dave Campbell's Texas Football statewide Texas high school football rankings. You can find all the rankings at texasfootball.com/rankings. Weird week in some of the classifications. 2A Division 2 is hard to parse right now. And we really debated it a lot on there just because there's a lot of different moving parts. I feel pretty good about it, but we're also like 1 week of results away from just doing a total makeover.
Yep.
For now, it's just kind of a stay of execution for a lot of these
Especially when
teams.
they start hitting in their weight classes. Like that makes that simplifies the
one
rankings portion.
The one that I really can't, the one that I struggled with the most, honestly, as we debated it, was Falls City losing to Poth. Because Poth beat them pretty soundly, but Poth is also a 3A Division 2. It's a full classification higher than them. And so I don't want to go too crazy over it. So we decided to keep them at number 9 and wait for a little bit more data there. So there you have it, the Week 3 Dave Campbell's Texas Football State Rankings. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Final Thoughts.
I think it was put out this morning that Craven. Sorry, I just got done yawning. My eyes are all watering.
It's a holiday.
Craven put out a really, really good article on kind of previewing and reviewing the life story of G.J. Kinney and Jeff Traylor.
Yes.
And the matchup that will be had this week when the two meet up, UTSA and Texas State. But they go way, way, way back as East Texas boys, and it's a wild story.
If you do not know the story of G.J. Kinney and like how he came to go play for Jeff Traylor?
Yeah, read the article because it's
wild.
It's not football wild. It's life wild.
It's life wild.
Yeah.
But
it's really awesome.
Go read
that.
it. Yeah, it's really good on TexasFootball.com. A lot of good stuff there on TexasFootball.com, including go read Corey Hoke's 4 Downs.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 4 major takeaways from what was a wild week in the small college ranks in Texas, including
huge losses in D3.
D3,
like,
UMHB and
God.
Trinity. UMHB got like handled,
Mm-hmm.
and Trinity loses as well. So D3, it was a bit of a morgue there. So we will we go read 4 Downs there from Corey Hogue. That's gonna do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us on your holiday. Follow us on Twitter at TCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Brandon Carpenter, head coach of the 2-0 Klein Oak Panthers, for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy, which where I've moved again. Maybe it was WTF.
No. Incorrect.
We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.